welcome to Those Four King Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy, book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're going to be leaning into our Twilight roots for Hoa Hoa season. We're kind of doing like a Twilight chapter of the show because last week we were talking Twilight as well. Today,
back-to-back episodes.
Yeah, back-to-back Twilight themed episodes. Today we're chatting what to do when you visit Forks, and we have a special guest, Forks expert at this point, Amy. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little background about who you are and what you do in the Twilight fandoms and all that stuff?
I'm so excited to be here.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny how many people too, like I've met over the last several years who have been like, oh my God, I found you because of the Forks vlogs that you did with Natasha and Christine. So, yeah. But for those who don't know me, I am Oh My Carlisle online. That's what people know me as. I got into the fandom a little bit late when the first movie was coming out on DVD. Somebody had loaned me the books. I ended up reading them, getting sucked in, going to Forks later that year for the first time, and actually met Natasha at my first Twilight fan event ever in March 2010, where I first met Peter Facinelli and Kellen Lutz and thought that was the only time I'd ever go to a Twilight event. Yeah. But then I ended up, because I was living in LA, I have a background in communications and writing, and I ended up working on one of the big Twilight fan sites at the time, which was His Golden Eyes.
Oh my gosh. Wait, why didn't I know that?
You did know that.
Yes.
Did I forget?
Yeah, which then became Page to Premiere. So I got to go to Comic-Con.
Oh, I forgot that was one and the same.
Comic-Con and the movie premieres and all kind of fun stuff. And Natasha was along with me for a lot of those things too.
Yeah.
So that's
Amy's one of my Amy's one of my longest friends. We met when I was 16 and now I'm 30. So almost how many 15 years now?
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Almost. I know, it's crazy. Like I was the age you are now when we met.
That's insane.
That is wild, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys kind of got into Twilight at the same time when it was on
did.
DVD, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got into it the Christmas, because I read it right after the movie came out. And then I saw that they were doing a convention in LA. And I was like, Mom, I have to go to this for my birthday, for my 16th, my sweet 16. So, yeah, I remember seeing Amy, and she was like this tall redhead, and I thought she was so pretty. And I was like, who is that?
Yeah, what were your first impressions of each other?
Oh, I mean, but she was tall, and I remember she was wearing a teal or turquoise outfit, right?
Yeah, I had on a gray dress and a little teal sweater, which was funny. It's funny because there's a picture of it right here of me with Kellen. And yeah, it was funny because Peter and Kellen were wearing similar colors. So the picture of the three of us together, it's like we match.
Yeah. I don't know. Did we even speak at the convention? Did we say hi? We said hi,
we
right?
did, because then I saw you at the Eclipse convention in June. And by that point, it was like, oh, hey, we knew each other.
Anyways, we became online friends, and and then I figured, she lived close to me, and we saw each other at more events, and then no, we just had so much fun together. She was my Twilight friend.
Still are.
Still is.
So we're so excited to chat all things Forks. But before that, as always, we're going to get into some snap, crackle, pop culture news. There's been a lot of stuff going on this week. The first thing I have written down is that Ted Lasso is coming back for a 4th season. After it said that the series finale was at the end of the 3rd season. This is unprecedented in modern day.
I'm in the middle rewatching it. And so I had it on the other day when the alert came up on my phone. I was like,
what? It's such a heartwarming show that it's just such cozy news to hear that they're coming back. And so far they have Hannah signed on, Jason Sudeikis, Brett, and the guy with the glasses that has a family,
Oh,
and I
Higgins.
can't remember his name. Higgins. Yeah.
Leslie.
Leslie. Yeah. So hopefully they get more of the cast back, but it's very, very exciting.
Yes.
No, that's super exciting. I was like, what the heck? I thought it was done.
Well, even as I'm rewatching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish they would come out with more of this. It's such like a great comfort show.
Yeah, it really, really is. So we have no idea when that's coming, but it is coming. So it's exciting. And the next thing I had to put down was that J-Lo and Ben Affleck are getting a divorce.
Yeah, saw that coming.
I mean, we kind of saw it coming, but I think we were all rooting for them for a while. And unfortunately, Ben is cheating on her.
Oh, he is?
Mm-hmm. With this woman. He was seen out with this, I think her name's like Kick Kennedy or something. She's 35. And Ben was drunk. And I know he has alcohol issues. So maybe he fell off the sobriety. I don't know.
Didn't he cheat on
Sad
Jennifer
times.
Garner too?
He's got a lot of issues, that guy.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But that's happened. Also, Sabrina Carpenter's new album, Short and Sweet, came out this week. Now, last week, if you listen to the show, we talked a lot about Ref TV hopefully being announced. And I was so excited about like all the clues that they were dropping. I didn't think of the most obvious reason why she wouldn't. It's because she doesn't want to steal her friend Sabrina Carpenter's thunder. So I'm sad that I didn't think about that until the time came for her album to drop. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably why she wouldn't announce anything this week. But instead of announcing Rep TV, Taylor Swift dropped the I Could Do It With a Broken Heart music video. Did y'all see it? I mean, Natasha, we watched it together, actually.
Yeah. It's just like little clips from the tour.
From practicing behind the scenes of the tour.
Yeah.
But she was wearing her Pop Flex outfit in like a big section of the video, the iconic Pop Flex twirl skirt, the purple outfit. If you know, you know.
Don't know.
I have it. I wore it yesterday, and then yesterday I was like, oh my God, it's the Taylor Swift outfit now. But the music video was cute. I like that it was all behind the scenes stuff and not a lot of like just shots from the actual concert of her singing, because a lot of times those concert music videos are not behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. We got to kind of see how she moves throughout the stage too, like underneath, and then when she does the iconic like dive under, and how that whole work.
Okay, it's like one of those stuntman like blow up mattress things that
and there's
really
like a bunch of men
thick.
holding it.
Yeah, no, it's like a stunt.
And then she
On a
gets on
movie.
like a little trolley thing and then like moves down
Rides
the whole
it like
stage.
a little horse to the other side of the stage. Yeah, it was really cute, and also kind of giving the idea that they are working on a behind the scenes documentary, which is very exciting. And I'm very hopeful that that will come out like when the tour ends, which will be so cool. Anyway, back to Sabrina Carpenter's album. Did you all listen to Short and Sweet?
I listened once all the way through, and that's about it. I was like trying to listen to it when I was working, and it's definitely not like a working album. It's like a in the car, like dancing type of album. But I love the music video taste.
Yes.
Lots of like 80s, 90s odes
References
to campy, folly Halloween movies like Death Becomes Her and
Kill Bill.
Well, yeah, Kill Bill, but there was also, I think, like a reference to the Addams Family.
Yeah, it was really good. Highly recommend. It was really giving Lady Gaga like telephone era vibes. Her last 3 music videos have been really giving that vibe, and I love that.
I like how like cinematic and fun they are.
That's what I mean when I say the Lady Gaga vibes. I don't know if you studied them like I did back in
I definitely did not.
2010. Anyway, I really like the song Coincidence. My favorite off the album so far is called Coincidence. And I didn't know about all this drama with Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes. Did y'all know?
No, and I kind of Amy, you can use your words.
Yeah.
You're like mouthing things, and I'm like, this is a podcast.
Sorry, I always watch you guys on video, so I watch you on YouTube. No, I haven't.
Thank you. I saw it, but I didn't dive into it.
I dived because, of course, I'm like, anything to procrastinate everything I'm doing right now. But I went and did a deep dive. I didn't realize that she had even dated Shawn Mendes. But after Camila Cabello and Shawn broke up, Sabrina in like 2023, at the end of 2022, I think they met, according to the timeline I read online. And they were seen at like multiple events. And then she was seen like leaving together with him, and in the morning wearing his clothes when they were walking together and stuff. So they were together, and then according to the songs and stuff, as soon as they were publicly like in pictures together, Camila started like texting him again and sending him pictures of herself and like showing up places where they were going to be. And it eventually, that started to like fuck with their relationship. And then he got back together with Camila.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Coincidence is really like kind of talking about that. And I think it's such a fun song. It kind of has a country twang. And I really like Bad Chem, and then Taste has been stuck in my head as well. But I'm assuming none of them really stuck out to you except for Taste, since you only listened one time.
Yeah, I know. I need to listen to it more.
Yeah.
I could not name one one Sabrina Carpenter song. So.
Not even Espresso?
Oh,
that's me, Espresso.
Oh, okay. I do know that one.
The song of the summer.
Yeah. That one, and the bar song, and the Hosier song, the Whiskey Neat one.
You mean songs of the summer?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, what do you mean? Sabrina doesn't have a Hosier song.
The songs I hear all the time.
Yeah, the radio songs right now. Also today in Taylor Swift threw a big party in Rhode Island, and Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce and Bradley Cooper and Gigi Hadid were there, and Ryan Reynolds was there. It didn't mention Blake in the post, so I don't know if she's just lying low and like hiding.
Ooh.
But I was just excited because I was like slightly concerned about her and Travis, but they're still fine.
Wait, did she post this?
No, paparazzi pictures posted this.
Okay, well, wait, so she didn't actually mention Blake, or the paparazzi didn't mention Blake?
The paparazzi didn't mention Blake. They mentioned Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I don't know what's going on there.
Wait, Jason Kelce was there?
Mm-hmm. And his wife.
Kylie.
The gang was all there.
At Holiday House.
Yes.
See, how do you know that one?
Yes. Okay, Natasha, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. Well, the last like little bit of news before we do our normal things. So there's been a petition that's kind of been put out there to save Lady Jane Grey. And it kind of gives me a little hope because all of the big news outlets picked up this news. So I saw it on like Variety. I saw it on Entertainment Tonight, Entertainment Weekly. And we found out the reason why Amazon canceled this show is because it didn't make it on the top 10 shows across all platforms.
Huh.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, so the reason why it wasn't canceled is because the week that it came out, or the couple weeks after it came out, it wasn't on the top 10 most streamed shows across all platforms, not just Amazon.
There's so many shows.
So many.
10 isn't even 20.
Yeah, there's like that list is called something. I didn't write it down. It's called like the
Nielsen list.
The
it's
Nielsen list.
Outdated.
Yeah,
I feel like
uh-huh,
as hell. So that's frustrating. There's a petition, though. We can link it if you want to sign it. It had over 20,000 signatures on it like a couple days ago. So
yeah,
maybe.
Shows have been saved in the past.
They have been saved by petitions. So you never fucking know.
Also, my ball, the Blood Moon Ball, is quickly approaching. I'm freaking out. We got like 2 months. Tickets are on sale. They're linked in the show notes down below, but it is a gothic fantasy ball, and you can come in your best gothic fantasy outfit or a costume, because it's going to be like a Halloween type of ball, and we're having it at a gothic style church. It's going to be so fun. And if you want to check it out, it's at lovestyria.com.
In other news, I put out a novel almost 3 months ago, which is wild, and it's called Attached at the Hip. It is a survivor-esque adventure rom-com. I love it a lot, and if you haven't heard about it yet, it's a really fun, quick, bingey, TV showy read, and it's available now everywhere you read books. And if you have read it already, thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, I'd really, really appreciate if you took a second to go review it on wherever you read it. So like Amazon is so helpful to review over there. If you got the book over there, or in Barnes and Noble or Audible or wherever, it's really, really helpful to the author to review the novel if you read it and you enjoyed it, because that's how algorithms promote the books to new people. So thank you so much.
I started reading it last night.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
I had it. I just, I'm such a slow reader, and it takes me a while to get through stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to start reading it, especially before the end of the summer. So I'm excited.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah. So thank you everyone who's reviewed the book already, because I saw that there were more reviews up on Amazon, and I was like, people are doing it.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Anyway, so the links to the book are in the show notes if you want them. Links to Blood Moon Ball in the show notes, so definitely check all that out. And this is your last chance to make plans to come to Romance Con. It's coming up next fucking week.
Yeah, next week.
September 6th and 7th, or 6th and 7th will be at Milwaukee. Well, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for Romance Con. We're going to be doing all sorts of panels. We're recording a live podcast. We're doing those Forking Fangirls meetup. It's going to be super fun. And a link to that is in the show notes too. If you're at all in that area and want to come out, you could still get tickets. So it shall be fun. Speaking of Romance Con, this just in, we're editing this in right now. We have 2 Romance Con tickets to give away to a special winner.
Oh, yeah.
So keep an eye on our Instagram at those Forking Fangirls, and you will see the rules for this giveaway. And if you want to come to Romance Con September 6th and 7th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you can go for free if you win our giveaway. Well, you can come for free. If you have to travel, they're not covering travel, but we have 2 free passes. So you and a guest can come to Romance Con. Hit up our Instagram, all right?
At those Forking Fangirls.
Yes.
Jenny says, so excited for Romance Con. What panels are y'all excited for? I'm excited for our panel. We're doing a live podcast. And then I'm moderating a plus size representation panel.
Nice.
Love that.
And Christine's on the panel.
Yeah, I'm on, I think I'm on 2 panels. I'm on one that's called Buying into TikTok, and Buying into Book Talk. Yeah. And it's about, authors using social media and all that stuff. And that should be fun. And I'm moderating a panel about fantasy worlds, like world building and such, which should be fun. And then I'm on one more that I can't remember.
Oh my goodness, you're on so many. How are you doing all of these?
I'm an author at the event for the first time, so it's going to be so cool. Yeah. And there'll also be like book signings and stuff. So you got to check out. I have to check out, honestly, the schedule.
I know.
I don't know it yet. And I have no outfits yet. So I've got a lot to prep still. But it's going to be a hoot. Link is in the description. Okay, we're going to jump right into what right now. What books have y'all been reading this past week?
I read Funny Story by Emily Henry.
Yes.
And I've been just on like a romance kick. So I feel I read like 4 books in the last, 3 weeks.
Nice.
And it was so good. I don't think it's definitely not her strongest book. I love the concept of it. And it was a good read. It was a much longer one than hers are usually. I don't know. It felt longer.
She usually writes longer books, but
yeah,
I think that
I liked it though.
Yeah, it was like a comforting book, but it didn't have as much going on, I feel like, as some of her other books.
No, definitely not. It was very just centered in this like one town, which is nice. And I think some of the themes I related to in it a lot, like finding friends and making yourself a home. But yeah, definitely if you want to start Emily Henry, don't start there. That's my opinion.
What is your favorite Emily Henry book?
Probably book lovers.
Book lovers.
Yeah.
So good. But also Beach Read.
I read Book Lovers. I haven't read Beach Read, but I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And People We Meet on Vacation is great. And also Happy Place is great too.
I haven't read Happy Place yet.
I love them all, but yeah, my favorite's Book Lovers. Amy,
what
have you been reading?
I've been reading a lot, but probably the one that I finished up recently that you all would be interested in is I read my first Colleen Hoover book. So,
yay!
I read Verity. I had looked to see, I'm like, what was the highest rated one on Goodreads? And so I read that. And then a lot of people are telling me it's unlike anything else she's written. So, but
it's awesome though.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because in my personal community, I guess, people have very mixed opinions on Colleen Hoover, and I don't know much. So,
I mean, everyone has mixed opinions now that she's so big. I feel like before everyone, it's just like a love fest back in the day.
Well, it was a fascinating book, and I'm really happy that I had. I finally took the dive in there. So we'll see if I read more.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you read it. It's that one's it's a whirlwind.
It was something.
Yeah.
So what should I read next from her?
Well, you're in for a big change, whatever you read next. I really love November 9th. Okay. I feel like it's the sweetest of her stories, but it's still Colleen Hoover. Like it's still got a lot of like intense themes and drama.
Okay. I mean, my first Colleen Hoover book was Ugly Love.
That one's great too.
And it's very toxic.
They're all toxic.
They all are.
Yeah. Because they're all like really hard relationships.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I read Layla, I think, right after Verity, because it kind of went into that like spooky vibe, especially for going into like the Halloween season. Mm-hmm. I really liked Layla.
See, I predicted everything that was going to happen in Layla, so I didn't love it as much because with Colleen, like most of the time you can't see where she's taking things. They'll just like take random like I love how far off I usually am with predicting her stories. And Layla, from the beginning, I was like, oh, is this what's happening? And it was, so I wasn't as happy with that one.
Okay. More to add to the to-read list.
Okay, I finished Rainbow Rowell's Slow Dance, and I really enjoyed it. It was so gentle. Like, it's such a nice, like, comforting, gentle, lovely read. It's friends to lovers. It's about this 33-year-old woman who has 2 kids. She's divorced, and she had this best friend in high school. They were, like, in this little trio, but her and the one guy had, like, a thing, but they never acted on it. And she hasn't seen him in 14 years, and she sees him at a wedding, and they reconnect, and they're trying to, like, work through what happened. Like, why did they never get together? And, like, can they be together now? And it was really sweet. And I really missed Rainbow's writing style. And it's just very different from a lot of the romance stuff that we've all been reading. And it was really refreshing to read about these like really shy characters that like have trouble expressing themselves and have different sorts of stuff going on in their lives. Like he's in the Navy, so that's like a big hurdle in terms of seeing each other regularly. And she obviously is dealing with like an ex-husband and sharing custody, and the kids in general are like 3 and 5. So it's a lot. and it was really nice.
I love how you said last night that she was like expecting something like big and terrible to happen.
Yeah.
But then nothing happened and it was just like a good ending.
Yeah. No, I was like, the whole time I was like, oh no, I was like braced for like, what is she going to do? I like forgot that Rainbow doesn't really murder us with her stories. She's a very gentle romance writer. And I really love that for anxiety times, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was really nice. And okay, so I ended the book and I really wanted to read something else because, of course, I've buckled down on my writing schedule. So I'm not allowed to watch TV. I'm only allowed to read or watch movies. So, of course, I finished a book for the first time in months and I started a Taryn Fisher novel that our patrons actually recommended to me. Yeah, it's called The Wives. And I think Shantae and Rebecca were telling me about it when we had our TFF meetup after the Colleen Hoover screening. And I was like instantly so excited to read it. And I'm already on like chapter 6. I read a bunch last night. And
is it like a thriller?
Yes. And I'm so excited to be reading a thriller. They were like, all of her books are kind of like Verity. And I was like, oh my God, I loved Verity so much. So I'm really excited for this change in tone.
I know. After I finished Funny Story. Yeah. I'm like, I think I've had enough of the romance right now. Like I'm trying to figure out, do I read a fan fiction?
Wait,
I don't know.
Read this with me. Okay. Can I just tell you what the premise? So it opens up and she is like, I'm Thursday, because she only sees her husband on Thursday because her husband has 2 other wives and she doesn't know anything about them because she's not allowed to talk about them. And she's not allowed to like meet them in real life or know anything about them. And it's insane. Like I just like hearing her thought process and like hearing how she came to be in this relationship, because she used to be like really strong and like have like all these like independent woman thoughts, and she's become like this wife stereotype that she never wanted to be, that her mom was, but like she loves him so much. It's called The Wives, Katie, and it's by Taryn Fisher, who is one of Colleen Hoover's best friends. And I always have seen her on Colleen Hoover's Instagram all these years, but I've never read one of her books because I didn't know anything about any of them. I hadn't heard anybody talk about them. And Rebecca and Shantae were like, oh my God, you have to start reading them and start at The Wives. So I'm excited because I've been reading it in every spare moment.
With your eyes, or are you listening?
With my eyes.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
I saw that Lauren Fortgang does the audiobook, so the audiobook's probably great too, because I love Lauren Fortgang. She does Ninth House and Hellbent. Like those were Lauren Fortgang.
I love those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she's great.
Okay,
Anyway.
so since Christine isn't watching TV, I'm also not watching TV anymore right now because I think I overdid it with Love Island. Just like, that was just a soul sucker show. Amy, what are you watching right now?
Well, I finished watching the final season of The Umbrella Academy.
Oh, what were your thoughts?
It's funny because people are hating on it online. I just love seeing those characters on the screen again.
Yeah.
Yes, there were some things I don't love about the way it ended, but at the same time, like, I just love the storytelling of it, and those characters are just fascinating and so fun. There's just such a I don't know, a vibe about it that I sit there.
The chemistry between the siblings.
Oh yeah,
is great.
The chemistry there. And I was watching it as I was flying back across country from New Jersey, and like I couldn't stop. Like I was like, you should take a break. Like, nope, next episode. And then I got back. I thought it was going to be like 8 or 10 episodes. And so I was like, I have like 1 episode left. And it was the last episode. It was only 6.
No.
6?
Yeah. So, and I feel like they could have done more. It did feel like a little bit like they shoved a lot into
6 episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sad that it's over. But I'm like, maybe I'll have a Ted Lasso moment.
Maybe.
I love that.
Wait, did you like the season before? Because it was so dark that I ended up not finishing it.
I enjoyed all of them.
Okay.
I really did. So the way
maybe I was like in an anxious mood, so I didn't get through it or something.
Yeah, I mean, they all have a certain mood and kind of, they're always trying to save the world. So,
yeah.
And, whatever's going on behind the scenes as they're trying to do it. But yeah, it is, it's a show I really, really loved. And I do have the graphic novels, so at some point I need to read those. But yeah, we'll definitely miss the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. I love Rob Sheehan in that. I love everyone, but like he's my favorite.
He's great. My favorite character was 5. Because I was just
5?
like, yeah, 5.
He's the younger looking.
Oh.
Well, because that first season, I mean, he was so young. He's only 20 now, the actor.
Yeah.
And Aidan Gallagher. And like, it was like he's playing the 60-year-old man, and he was like, what,
Yeah.
15 at the time? And he was incredible. And yeah, I just love that character and sort of the arc of his story and the importance of his role in all of it.
Yeah. No, he was so the most interesting character, I feel like, to learn more about.
Yeah.
Should we go into movies?
Yeah.
What have you watched this week?
I rented the movie Boot Camp, and I talked about this on my Instagram story. And I initially saw it, like people clipping some scenes from it on TikTok, and it just looked like a cute little like romance movie. And I was like, oh, this girl, like she's not like a size 2. Like it was nice to see someone who was more mid-sized, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And then as I started watching it, her reasoning behind wanting to go to boot camp was because she wanted a revenge body. And I was like, oh, did I just buy a movie that's gonna fucking trigger me? Like, I don't know. So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it like a chance and see what happens, because basically the character has like an incident with her longtime best friend at prom, and he basically like dumps her at prom and goes back to his ex-girlfriend. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna go to camp this summer and I'm gonna become better. But we actually don't hear this monologue in her head. Like, I'm assuming this is what her monologue is, but we get like a shot of like revenge body on like a magazine, and then she sees the camp, the boot camp, and I was like, oh great, is this like a fat camp that she's going to? So all these things were going through my mind as I was watching it, and we get there, and it looks like not all of the kids, because she's like a scene. Well, she just graduated high school. It doesn't look like all these 18-year-olds are plus size. Some of them are, and then they go around their reasonings of wanting to be there. And someone says, well, like, my family is like, all bigger, and I kind of like, I want to like lose weight. And I was like, oh God, okay. And then I was hearing other reasonings, and they weren't all the same. And then our main character says, oh, I want to make friends. And I'm like, okay. And then there's a scene which was pivotal, which I put on my Instagram story. And she's looking for a scale because she's doing really well. Like she's gaining her confidence, and she loves this book series. And so she kind of turns into this main character, like a Nesta or a Feyre type of situation, to be able to do these tasks at this camp. So like when she has to climb a tree,
it's like when Chloe was just saying when she works out, she does this because it helps motivate her. She pretends she's going to training to be a Viking, not a Viking.
So we visually see her turning into this character when she has to do these things, and she's just doing really well, and like becoming more liked, and like gaining confidence in herself. And then there's a scene where she's looking for a scale to weigh herself, and then the owner of the camp was like, we don't have a scale, like we believe it's not about numbers, it's about how you feel. And I'm like, yes, okay, so that is actually a good message. And they don't really talk about body size or weight or anything else like moving forward after we had that conversation. And so I was actually like pleasantly surprised. The movie's really cute. The romance is cute. I think it's on Apple TV, but I rented it on Amazon. And I would recommend, especially if you want like a cute little romance. It's a Wattpad movie, and you would think it wasn't going to be good, but it is good. The acting's really good. Amy, what have you been watching?
I haven't watched anything. The last thing I watched new was Deadpool and Wolverine, but I've been watching some comfort things recently. And I rewatched Crazy Rich Asians the other night, and it's just,
it's so good.
The movie it's joy. It really is. It's just one of those like rom-com movies on my short list of like comfort movies, and it had been a couple years since I watched it last, and I just had a good time sitting there watching it this weekend.
I literally did the same thing.
Really?
I watched it this past weekend
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I ended up like falling asleep watching it on the couch, but like it was like just like you said, it was like such a comfort to just put it on. I also watched Death Becomes Her, which is what the movie that Natasha was talking about during the Sabrina Carpenter section of our pop culture news. And yeah, so it inspired her a bunch with that music video. So I was like, I need to watch this movie. And it's on Amazon streaming for free. So I was like, oh, I'm going to turn it on. It's so fucking weird. It came out in 1992. And the first thing comes up, it's like Robert Zemeckis. It's a Robert Zemeckis film. And I don't know if you guys know, but he did Back to the Future famously, and Back to the Future came out in like 1985. So he did Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2, and then he did this. This movie's only like an hour and 20 minutes. It is about like two women who are feuding over like this man. But like in the end, they become friends, and they both take this potion to make themselves like look forever young, and stop aging. But what the potion, like, you know, the catch is that their body like can still get hurt and stuff, and they can still die. They'll just still be alive. So they both end up like dying, but like
multiple times
they're alive. And the man they're fighting over is a plastic surgeon, and then he works as a mortician after he loses his job as a plastic surgeon, and they have him like dress them up to look like they're alive. And so they're like, we need him to be alive forever. Like, it's so weird. And so like he's like spray painting them to look human, and they're like coming apart because they're dead, and it's so fucking weird. Anyway, it's on Amazon if you want to watch it as well.
Do you know the whole shot of Goldie Hawn with a hole in her? That was like such a big thing FX-wise back then. And it's also going to be a Broadway musical.
I heard that, which is wild. Okay, yeah, so the technology, I guess, for the time was probably insane. But watching it now, you're like, these special effects are gnarly as fuck.
Meryl Streep's head's backwards.
Literally. She falls down the stairs and gets up, and her whole head is like twisted backwards, but it looks like a floating cartoon head over a body now. Very strange.
They also look, they both look so hot in that movie too. Of course not towards the end. But
at the end, they're just like crumbling away.
Yes, nasty.
And Bruce Willis is the guy, the doctor / mortician.
Oh, I forgot that Bruce Willis was the guy.
It was so weird. I was like, Bruce Willis?
He was something back then. Remember, like Die Hard. So
yeah, but Die Hard, he was like already kind of bald, and he had a little bit of hair left in this movie.
He's got hair in like the first Die Hard.
Yeah, but it's like it's a little bit. Anyway, it was a time. All right, we're going to move on into our main discussion about forks and what to do when you visit to get the most out of your Twilight lover experience. But before we do, I want to take a second to thank everyone out there listening. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast community. If you haven't already, we'd love it if you follow the show for free in your favorite podcast listening app, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or a more niche one. Please follow us so you never miss an episode. If you like to watch the show, we're on YouTube, youtube.com/@thisforkingfangirls. You could subscribe for free there and never miss a visual episode. And if you don't know, we're a viewer-supported podcast. So we don't really have sponsorships. We have patrons. We have a Patreon, and that is why we can do the show every week. We are so grateful for our Patreon community, and we have 3 different tiers. The first is the $5 tier called Team Jacob, and at that tier, you get to come to our live streams and chat in the chat, be a part of the conversation live. You get to get the show ad-free, which is great, and you get our big perk every week called Fangirl Tea Time. We do an extra half an hour show every single week. And now there's 87 episodes of that waiting if you become a patron, which is a lot of extra content to dig into. And we talk about like more personal things going on in our lives there that are a little too personal for the main show, but are really fun to chat about with our like tight-knit Patreon community. And there's lots of other perks there as well at the other levels. So check it out. The link is in the description. The show notes. Chris says, I've almost listened to all of Fangirl Tea Time. So sad.
Oh my goodness.
Chris. Well, we're so glad you're part of our community now. We get to chat with you in the chat every week. There's also a free trial available for Team Jacob if you want to give it a go for 7 days before you commit. And if you want to commit for the year instead of month to month, you get a 16% off discount, which is like a month and a half for free. So it's really lots of stuff over there to dig into.
Lots of bonus episodes too. And
lots of bonus
commentary if you're Tina Edward.
Yes. And at the Team Polis Bananas, we do our like fangirl bonding sessions every month. You get to fill out a form to be on the show. We just planned out like our next like 4 guests for the show. Well, we haven't reached out to everyone yet, but we we have episodes planned. We're excited. All right. If you're a patron, we're going to jump right into the main discussion. If you're not, we will be right back after these messages. And we're back. It's time to talk about forks. And we're going to kick this off, I think, talking about the first time that Natasha and I went to Forks with Amy and our memories of that experience. Natasha, do you want to start?
Yeah. I think as a diehard Twilight fan, or probably anyone who's just ever read the books, I think we've all been very curious about Forks. The rainiest place in the continental U.S. where Stephenie Meyer chose
cloud cover 99.9% of the year.
Yeah, so where Stephenie Meyer chose to house her sparkly vampires. And I think like our first trip there was so special and so fun. We got invited to go to the Forever Twilight and Forks Festival, but we also wanted to explore the filming locations. And so if you guys have been like a long time viewer of our YouTube channels, you then will remember these vlogs. 2016, where Christine and I and Amy flew to Portland, and we spent 3 days there and drove all the way up from Portland to Forks to attend the Forever and Twilight Forks Festival. And that was like before they had their big Twilight museum and all the memorabilia there, and before it kind of like blew up on social media. Like it was very small for a long time. Amy has been to Forks a lot. I think it took us a while to get there. We wanted to go obviously when Twilight was like first, like a big thing, but I think we were both so young and it wasn't really like a trip that we thought we could do like on our own. So I'm so glad we went with Amy, who was our tour guide there, because there is a lot of driving.
And if you don't know, if you haven't been, it's really hard to gauge where and how to get places and what order to see things, because there's so much to see.
There is so much to see, and there's a lot of distance to cover. I think my favorite memory, I think just even the excitement of like getting on the plane to go and knowing that we're gonna like embark on like such like a trip that we've wanted to do for like such a long time, and visit all these places that like meant so much to us too, just to like see them with our own eyes and kind of like visualize a movie that we have loved and has been like endeared to us for so long, was just so special. I'm trying to think of like my favorite memory though, because there's so many.
Yeah.
I think when we first found the rocks, like when Amy took us to where
the lion and the lamb scene happened.
The lion and lamb scene. This is all in Portland, by the way. We're not yet in Forks. And we're like, wait, there's a dumpster right here. It's like right behind this the restaurant
like a
thing
or something. Yeah.
And we're like, this is crazy. This is like where they filmed it. What? Like we thought we were gonna have to hike in the woods for a long time.
It was right next to a parking lot.
I think that was really
Movie
special.
magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably one of my favorite memories. And I mean, all of those moments are also filmed too. So we do get to look back on it or else I'm like, I don't know how I could have remembered all of it. But yeah. And then I think even driving though all the way up from Portland to Forks was such a beautiful drive. And we've now been to Forks. Christine and I have been 3 times, but we've always come from Seattle now. But driving from Portland to Forks was so pretty. And it's just like, you just feel like you're in Twilight. I think like
it's pretty either way, honestly.
Yeah. Portland's beautiful. And like, that's where Twilight's filmed. And like, but when you're in Forks, it really feels like Twilight. What are your guys' favorite memories? And I know, like, Amy, you've been so many times and it's like a second home for you.
I don't know about that, but no, the first time I went was October 2009. So like right before New Moon was going to come out. And it was something where a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to go to Forks in Seattle? And it wasn't even my idea. I was like, sure, why not? And it was crazy because this was back at like the peak of things.
Yeah.
I mean, every single store was just like Twilight everything. Dazzled by Twilight was still there, which was a big legendary thing for Twilight fans from back in the day. It was a big store all themed around Twilight. They also had a location in Port Angeles. So it was, just overwhelming. And everywhere you went, there were, teenage girls or young women walking around excited about Twilight. But what was interesting was that first trip I stayed at the Miller Tree Inn, which is a bed and breakfast in Forks that is considered the Cullen House. And they have, in bed and breakfast in rooms, a lot of times they'll have a little, like a journal to ask visitors to put in some info. And so I went back and was going through it. And up until like the Twilight started coming along, everybody was like fishing and camping and fishing and camping. And then it was suddenly like, I'm here with my daughter because of Twilight. So it was, that change. But I'm happy I went there during that sort of peak time. I didn't go back again until I think 2012. And, by then it wasn't quite what that was. Dazzled had closed. But it was still just an incredible experience. And there's nothing like that first time coming into town and there's the welcome to Forks sign. Like that is a moment of, especially if you're coming from the north, because you're like, where's the Kalawah River? Because we know the Cullens live north of the turnoff by the Kalawah River. And you keep going over these bridges and it's like Soul Duck River. And suddenly we saw a sign, Kalawah. And then we realized we were going over that bridge, and then there is the Welcome to Forks sign.
The Welcome to Forks sign is iconic.
Yeah.
Like, when you first see it, it's like, whoa, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's real.
And I see Nicole's question about, do I live nearby? So when the movies and everything were coming out, I was in Southern California. I lived in the LA area, and then I was on the East Coast for a little bit. And now I live in Washington State. I'm in the Seattle area, and I've been here a little over 5 years. So
that's
Forks,
crazy. You've been there so long.
I know. Forks is a couple hours away. So yeah, I've done day trips there. I've flown up from LA. I flew cross country to go there. So I've had a lot of different travel experiences getting to Forks as well.
Yeah, I mean, the fork sign is such a distinct memory. Like, make sure you take pictures with the fork sign every time you go to Forks. Like, I feel like I love looking back on like the different times that we've gone and those moments where we first got there and pulled over to take pictures with the fork sign. It's just so magical. I remember the second time we went, I was really sick, but I was starting to feel better that day that we were driving to Forks, and I wasn't like in the best mood, but as soon as I saw the sign, I was like, we're here, we did it. Like, it is a big drive to get to Forks. So once you get there, it's like this triumphant moment. But my favorite memories from the first time we went, one of them is definitely when we went to the high school where they filmed the cafeteria scene, and all 3 of us did like the walk past the glass, and like I slow-mo'd it. editing, and like we sat at the table at the Cullen sit at, and we're like looking off into the distance like they do. Like it was just so surreal to like reenact that scene. And they still had the flags up, you know, like all the flags in the high school and that cafeteria scene, that all the color and stuff. And that was just, it was so surreal and cool to experience that. And I also really loved going to the place where like they have like Bella and Charlie eat
Carver
in the
Cafe.
movie. Carver Cafe. Yeah, you gotta hit Carver Cafe. We sat where they sat. Like at first we weren't, but like I think, yeah, Amy, were like, it's open, we should just move. And Natasha was like, yeah, let's move. And we moved to like the spot where they sit in the movie, and we got to reenact the scenes there and eat their breakfast. And I remember just being like, this is like delicious French toast, and it was so magical being able to sit there and be like, we're sitting where Bella sat. Like Stephanie Meyer sat over there for her cameo. Like it was really cool.
It's just, there's just so much, like so many fun memories, and like I think it's just like a special place for Twilight fans to go. And like it still is, which is crazy. Like we definitely had a lull there. Like I think in 2016 we went when it wasn't, you know, as big, but now I feel like there's been the Twilight Renaissance after 2020, and they were all on Netflix and during the pandemic, and people have been revisiting it and watching it with like, you know, their kids. And now I feel like when you go up, I feel like the town is much more alive, and I feel like there's more things to do now with Twilight.
There are. They've also like the festival has become so much bigger and so much more like festivally. I feel like it just feels like they have like the parties are so nice and so themed and so fun, and everything's just more organized because they've been doing it for longer and they know what to expect, and they have like an author festival now. Like there's just a lot more going on, which is really cool. I feel like a lot of people want to know like where we recommend to stay. So maybe first and foremost, we kind of discuss that. There's like, when you go to Forks, there's the Forks Motel, and then there's across the street, where did we stay? The Forks, like
Pacific
other
Inn?
hotel. Forks Inn.
The Pacific Inn?
The Pacific Inn.
Inn.
Yeah. And then we haven't stayed at like any of the Airbnbs, but like Amy just said, she stayed at the Cullen house. It's a bed and breakfast. So like there's other places. I've never done an Airbnb though. And someone said, do you recommend any Airbnbs?
I've only stayed in an Airbnb once, which was fine. But I mean, I will say most Airbnbs that are going to be available at this point, because there's some that people book year after year. So they're like, when they leave, they've already booked it. So like anything that's kind of right on the 101 might be difficult to book. The thing is, if you book like the Forks Motel or the Pacific Inn, like you're going to get a clean room, you're going to be somewhere safe, and you're also going to be able to get to places pretty easily. You can walk to Forks High School if you stay there. So I usually recommend going for the hotels, but I know there is some nice Airbnbs around, but said it's a matter of a lot of times they get booked up really early. And you do have some options, I would say, at some of the hotels for suites. So like Forks Motel, the last few times I've stayed there for the festival, we've had one of the suites, which is like a mini apartment. It has a full kitchen in it. It has a king size bed in one room, 2 queens in the other. So you have some space. But yeah, there's lots of different places. I don't recommend staying all the way out in La Push. If you have a ticket, because that is a bit of a drive. Do not stay in Port Angeles and come back and forth every day. I've seen people do that. It's again a heck of a drive.
It's an hour.
Yeah. So try and stay in Forks if you can on the main.
If you're going to like the Forks Festival,
Yeah,
for sure.
So if people like, would you recommend a day trip, and would you recommend driving at night to going all the way back? Because we got a lot of questions in our chat right now. I know we got a lot of questions in the chat right now. How long is the drive? Because we keep talking about it.
And you don't want to do it in the dark.
I mean, I've done it in the dark, but
you can. But like, I would not recommend it.
I think if you are like coming in from somewhere else, definitely take a couple nights out there. It is a really long drive. It's about, I mean, for me, I am south of Seattle, but north of Tacoma, and I'm not that far from the airport. And so it's about like a 3.5-hour drive, depending on traffic, depending on road construction. You can also drive north of Seattle and take the ferry over, which drops you a little bit closer, and the ferry's pretty quick if you can get on the ferry. So there are options, but yeah, it's a bit of a drive, and a lot of places it's one lane each direction. If you get stuck behind a logging truck,
they'll close down the road too if there's construction.
Yeah, so you really need to kind of pay attention to what's going on. The thing is, though, most people go the northern route because they want to go through Port Angeles, of course, as Twilight fans. But if something's going on, you can always take the southern route around the peninsula as well.
Yeah.
So
if you are going to go out to Forks and you don't live in that area, I would highly recommend like first going to Portland so you get to see all of the Twilight film locations. Like if you're going out there, do it right. Like take a couple days to do all of the filming locations and go to the Carver Cafe and like go to the Amy, what was that place with the waterfall that we went to?
Oh,
Multnomah
Falls.
Yeah, like go to that Multnomah Falls where you can hike and see the waterfall that's in the background of like the baseball scene. Like it's gorgeous. And it's so worth doing all of that before you get to Forks, because you have all these expectations if you're not in the area and you've never been up there, that like you're going to go to Forks and feel like you're in the movie, but really you feel like you're in the movie going to all these places that are around Portland.
Yeah. And also like, I mean, as someone who had never really been to the Pacific Northwest until we decided we were going to do this trip, and now we've been there a lot, definitely doing the way that we did, I feel like I recommend that because it's just it's very exciting. And then you still have, you know, the exciting adventure of then driving up and then going to Forks. And then if you want to go through Port Angeles, then you take your plane out of Seattle and you go that way. Christine and I stayed in Port Angeles last year, and that was really nice because it was only then 2.5 hours from the airport, right?
Yeah. Well, what we did was like the first year we went into Portland and then we went out of Seattle, didn't we? So that we stopped at Port Angeles on the way back. So since we'd already done the Portland thing, we went into Seattle because it's just easier to get to Seattle to Forks, and we stopped in Port Angeles so we wouldn't have to do the whole drive in one day. And it was really nice to have that stop. And Port Angeles has, like, you want to stop in Port Angeles. You want to walk around by the water there and go in those shops and eat there because that's what they do.
And it's like the last big city too.
Yes.
It's not a big city, but at least
a city compared
they've got
to Forks.
Starbucks.
They have things there. When you get to Forks, they only have one chain, and it's Subway, and it's in a gas station. So like you have to be prepared. They didn't even have anywhere to get like matcha the first 2 times we went, and I was kind of dying. And then this time, now they have a little coffee shop in the grocery store, and it was the best.
That's been there for a while,
It's been there
right?
forever.
Yeah, we had it. It didn't. I guess we didn't go last time we were there, so this time it was like, we're going to the coffee shop. We're getting matcha.
We had never been to Forks Outfitters, Amy, until last year.
What?
Yeah.
We didn't. No.
No, we didn't go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So like,
I mean, you're
Yeah,
there
go ahead.
multiple times, like sometimes multiple times a day when I'm out there. So how did that happen?
we never went. I don't know.
Well, let's explain what Forks Outfitters is. Well, okay, let's explain.
Okay,
So
Forks.
Let's explain Forks.
Yeah. Forks is very small and everything closes early. So the first time we went, it was like culture shock. I remember just being like starving and everything was closing. And I'm like, guys, we need to go eat. I'm going to die.
Amy and I were like, we're chill.
I was not chill. most unchill. I like the first time it just felt like a whirlwind because I like didn't have my bearings on like what the city was like at all, and everything was just like new. But now when we go, like it's just a little square basically that we're walking around in, and it's very easy to navigate. But just be expecting a very tiny city.
City like town.
Quotations. It's a town.
I know the sign says the city of Forks, but
yeah, and like there's only a few restaurants now. There's more than there were when we first started going. I feel like
there's less. Actually,
I feel like there's less now.
Yeah,
I just feel like I know it better, so it feels like there's more.
Well, like yeah, we went to that place I don't think we've ever been there before too until last year.
Yeah,
where we went for dinner.
We don't know what it's called.
I don't remember what
they
it's
had
called.
Burgers and stuff.
It's on the other side.
Blakesley's? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
The bar one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely, I mean, because the actual Forks coffee shop, which was like a diner,
It closed.
that's closed. It's gone. They tore the whole building down finally.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So there was like a Mexican place we used to go to, although I think there's a new place in there. Yeah, there's several places that are not there anymore. And I know like last year for the festival, like it felt kind of like at times like, where do we go to eat? Because there's less places and everything's packed because people are here from the festival. So yeah, that does make it a little bit challenging during the festival.
But last time since we finally went to Forks Outfitters, they have one big grocery store, Walmart-esque thing called Forks Outfitters. That's where the coffee shop The Grind is that we were just referencing. That's where like I ran to get a memory card when I ran out. And they also have like a little sandwich area, deli, where you can get a sandwich there. They also, like, when my feet were dying from my boots, I got a pair of sneakers there. They saved me at the Forks Outfitters many times at our last trip to Forks. So definitely go there.
Yeah. Full grocery store. Yeah, I say it's like the Walmart of Forks, or super Walmart of Forks, because it does. It has all those things. And it has a whole shoe section at the end of the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yes. They didn't have that many options, but they had Skechers, and those Skechers saved me.
Okay, so if you're not going for the Forks Festival, what time of year do you think we should go?
Oh, so I would say either a little bit later in the fall or in like mid to early spring. Schools haven't let out yet in the spring. It's if you're there like late April into early May, it's a time where you can a lot of times see the whales out in the ocean. So like being able to go to the coast then, it's not as crowded yet. Like you don't need, especially things have changed a lot with national parks in the last couple of years, and Forks is surrounded by national parks, and there's a lot of things to see and do. But like in the summertime now, you need reservations to get into certain areas, like the Hoh Rainforest, I think up to Hurricane Ridge in Port Angeles. So going that time of year, it's like the weather's usually pretty decent. And yeah, you can get into a lot of places and not have to wait in, lines of cars to get somewhere. And yeah, it's a time when it's not too crazy if you don't like that.
Yeah. So if you don't want to go during the festival, those are the times, because I feel like we went, that first week of September last year, and it actually was kind of hot. Like there was no cloud cover. The Cullens would not have been out and about.
No, like we've gotten really lucky, and it hasn't been very rainy when we've gone the last couple times. But also another tip that I just want to mention: when you're driving down there, you lose service. So download your music, because you're gonna want music. Because it's just very long. You want to want something to listen to, and just have it all downloaded on your phone so you're ready. Like we had the Olivia Rodrigo album, so that's like we listened to what was this? The Guts, Guts. The entire time everywhere we went, because we had it ready to rock, downloaded.
Oh yeah, every time now I hear it now, I just think of the Forks trip.
Okay, let's talk about like our must sees. What your favorite things are to see that everyone should add to their to-do list when they go?
So for filming locations, I would say Kamala High School, which is the exterior school from Twilight. So they filmed at three different schools. Kamala, which is the exterior one. It's really cool. Like the other day, I was driving south on 5, heading down toward the Portland area. And you can actually see it. Like if you're on the highway, you can look up and you can see the high school on the hill. It's really cool.
Wow.
But I mean, just going there and experiencing that is awesome. The other high school Christine was talking about, Madison High School, where the cafeteria was and biology class and some of the hallway scenes. Unfortunately, for Twilight fans, it was actually torn down a couple years ago, and they built a new school. So yeah, that part of Twilight history is history.
Gone.
Oh my God.
The other school they filmed at was in St. Helens, and that's where they did the office scene and some of the hallway stuff. And then also they filmed, I think it was like when Bella's on, or when Edward's playing the piano, they filmed in a space in there. And then in Kalama High School, they actually used their gym. They completely redid it, like covered over everything with vinyl to make it Forks High School, because their colors are, I think for this, for Kalama High School, are orange and black. So they had to cover everything over with Spartans and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll pick one. Bella's house and the Cullen house. Now, the Cullen house is owned by new owners, right?
Yeah.
And they blocked that street.
So you can't see the Cullen house anymore.
No.
A lot of this is like
Sad. God, it's so sad.
It's history now.
Yeah. They put up a fence there, but things started, there were starting to be problems at the Cullen house before the first owners, the original owners, sold it. They had already started putting up signs about no trespassing and in a bunch of different places, no photos. Like they were starting to have issues. And I think when the new owners bought it, they were just like, nope, we're not doing this. We're putting up a gate. And I know, like, I have a video on TikTok that people are still about them blocking it off, and people still comment it all the time. And a lot of people are like, well, they should have known when they bought it. You know, it was funny. I was reading some stuff that Chapel Ronan said, like, about the stuff with her this week with social media, about just people like violating her space. And I think people need to think more of it like that. Like, think about less as a house and more as people live there. This is their place. And so people are like, no, like we have, like they have a right to it. And I'm like, not when people were like going up on their doorstep or, walking up their driveway or ringing their doorbell or flying drones around their house, which is some of the things that were going on.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of like insane though that the people, were these the original owners that are having these issues? Or
the original owners were having issues, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they sold the house, and then the new owners put up the fence. But one of the things I looked at was for the 10th anniversary of Twilight, Catherine Hardwicke and Jackson Rathbone went back to the house, and they met with the Mr. Hoke, who was the owner from the beginning. And he was like, at the time, he's like, yeah, I don't mind if people come and take pictures as long as they're respectful of the property, because we live here. And, I hate to say, like, people get mad at me when I'm like social media and TikTok and stuff, and people forget their boundaries at times. And I think just too many boundaries were getting broken by that point, because, 10 years, it wasn't an issue. Yeah, people probably did things every once in a while, but it just got to a point, I think, where it was out of hand and people were just being very disrespectful. So... unfortunately, some bad eggs.
Yeah. But you can go see Bella's house. It is owned by a Twilight loving family, and it is an Airbnb. So you can rent the house too and stay in there, and they have preserved it so beautifully. I've actually never stayed there. I would love to stay there at some point. And that's near St. Helens.
It's in St. Helens.
It's in St. Helens. Yeah. And, but if you're just doing a day trip, like, you can drive by. Just, again, all of these, be respectful. And it's not just because it was in Twilight doesn't mean that we have ownership over it, or that, they're just there for us for like our enjoyment. Just be quiet, take your picture. We were so quiet when we were there. We were like, I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, those were amazing to see. And I'm so sad, like, people can't see the Cullen house for real. But Bella's house is there, and that's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My favorite thing that I will always think about is seeing La Push.
Yep.
It is the most unique, cool, beautiful beach. And we did the hike to Third Beach, and I loved that whole experience so much. I'd never been in a forest like that before, where like the trees are so tall and it just feels like you're in Twilight. Like that really feels like you're in Twilight. And you hike down like this huge mountain cliff face to the beach, and there's just like, I've never been to the Pacific Northwest like when I saw this, and there's just driftwood everywhere, and it's so beautiful and different from any like normal quote beach that you've ever been to. Yeah. And then going to First Beach was also so beautiful, and there's just like islands just like right
with
off
pine
the coast
trees
with trees on them. It looks like a fantasy land. It's absolutely gorgeous, and that's such a highlight, is doing that hike and then going to First Beach and seeing that beach and being there at sunset. And it's just absolutely gorgeous, and you don't want to miss it. Like, you can't go to Forks and not go to La Push.
Yeah. Well, and La Push is actually not that close too. It takes about like 25 minutes from Forks to go all the way out to First Beach, where like the res is. And gosh, when we went there last year, because we didn't make it. We did the hike last year, but we didn't really take time to go to First Beach. There were so many people camping out there. Like, I don't remember it being that crowded when we were there in 2016.
It looked like they built like little like places for people to camp.
Yeah.
First Beach or Third Beach?
First Beach.
First.
Well, I mean, you have the Quileute Resort is right there, and you can camp.
Yeah.
In addition to the cabins and RVs, and it's beautiful to stay out there. I just wouldn't stay there in the festival because it's a pain in the butt to go to Forks. But any other time, I've stayed there multiple times, and it's gorgeous.
You have?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I've stayed in the cabins, and I stayed in the hotel rooms or motel rooms. Also, and there's no TV. The only cell service that you get out there is usually Verizon, and yeah, it's just, you can lay in your bed in the cabin and just hear the ocean, and you can get up early in the morning and see
the sunrise.
Look out, and sometimes it's foggy, or sometimes it's blue skies, and you can see James Island, and it is just, it's really peaceful to stay there. And that's where I saw the whales, was when I was staying there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's so gorgeous. And I feel like the first time we went out to First Beach in 2016, I didn't remember that resort being there. Was that there?
Yep.
I just didn't notice. I just was like so overwhelmed the first time. I only noticed like 15% of everything I saw. But yeah, Natasha and I didn't want to miss First Beach last time we were there, so we went over for like 20 minutes, and we're like, wow, it's so crowded. There's so many campers.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there. Yeah, because I don't know if the festival went out to La Push last year. I
don't think they did anything out there last year.
Yeah, which was kind of sad, because I feel like that was so nice when we had like a bonfire out there in 2016, and I think they also did it when we were there in 2018.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine too. Number one is definitely La Push Beach. Like, we went to Cannon Beach on our way up from Portland.
So what is Cannon Beach for people who don't know?
Cannon Beach is in Oregon, and it's where they filmed the La Push scenes in Twilight.
La Push, baby.
It's also the beach from the Goonies as well.
Yes.
So, and just like, Cannon Beach is the town. Acola State Beach or State Park is where it's located, and it's Indian Beach is the actual beach they filmed on.
Oh, okay. I just remember we went to Camp 18 on the way out there and had the best cinnamon rolls
All right. Wait, you're jumping around. Wait. So should people go to? I liked Cannon Beach. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
but
it's different.
It was more.
Though.
It was less beachy. We were like kind of in a forest looking out at the beach.
Well,
we were high up.
We couldn't get to the beach because the road was closed. Remember?
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't remember that part.
So
of
we
it.
couldn't actually get down to Cannon Beach because the road over to Indian Beach or to that particular part of the beach was closed for road construction, which was like the worst timing. It was closed for like 2 days. It was days when everybody was down in Portland before the festival.
Oh man. Okay. So we didn't exactly get to go there, but we were there almost. All right. So what was this Camp 18 that you were discussing?
So this is the restaurant on the way out. So say you went to Portland and you're driving out to Cannon Beach before you go up the 101 to Forks. It's a restaurant. Like that's like the only restaurant on the way out there. And we all had breakfast there and it was so good.
Mm-hmm. It's like a big log cabin. Giant.
Yeah.
log
Super
cabin.
cute.
Like bears outside. I think we took a picture with a wooden bear statue. Yeah, that was really good. Anytime we stopped and got food, it was like the best. Always hungry, I guess, on that ride.
You were. Okay, Amy, what's
Amy.
another place?
The Hoh Rainforest. So
We have never been.
Yeah, we've never done it.
Why?
We just didn't know about it. I feel like Anna Todd was telling us that she went and it was beautiful. And we're like, what? Wait, where is it?
Okay, so it's south of Forks. So you go down the 101. I think it's about like 12 miles or so, 18 miles.
Also, guys, there is only one highway through Forks. It's the 101.
Yep.
Highway is like a generous word. It's like a road.
Well, you make a left and you drive about. I said this. I know it's 12 miles out to where the ranger station is to pay to get in or show your national park pass, and then another 6 miles I think in to where you park. And it is stunning. There's nothing like it in the U.S. It is like multiple different environments, I guess. And there's, it's known for having these incredible moss on trees. There's an area called the Hall of Mosses. There's a walk that goes by the river that's just stunning.
We have
and beautiful.
to do this next time.
Yeah,
this has to be prioritized.
It is like my parents came up to visit earlier this year, and they were like, that was number one on my dad's list. Like he knew about it, wanted to go. I was a little worried about them walking there, but they did okay.
Okay.
But yeah, it is just stunning. And like being there, you're like, okay, I can imagine them being in the forest going through here. I mean, there's a lot of that in the area, but that particular area is just, there's nothing like it. And I live up here, and there's nothing like it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we've never done that. I think, because we always need like a tour guide and everyone's busy. I know, Amy.
You can come. You can stay in the Twilight room. We can go out. I have my national park pass.
Oh, nice.
Not doing much right now. So.
Okay, I'll go next. I really love the Twilight Museum. And I think it's so cool because, well, one, I have now been to so many places, guys, where they film stuff because it is one of my greatest like travel pastimes is going to places where my favorite films have been or TV shows have been filmed. Like Amy and I went to Storybrooke. That's in Steveston in Vancouver when it was still filming. So that was so cool. What?
For Once Upon a Time.
For Once Upon a Time, yes. And I went to places where they filmed Pride and Prejudice, and I went to New Zealand. I went to Hobbiton. I went to all those places where they filmed Lord of the Rings. I would love to see Game of Thrones locations, but what a lot of those places are lacking is they don't have a lot of film memorabilia that you can actually see. Like you can go to the places and imagine, and then maybe go to a gift shop where they have like one or two things. Forks is very special in the way that they have also a bunch of shops that you can go to and find so many cute and special things that you can purchase. And 2, they have this entire museum, which, what is the building that they have it in, Amy?
It's the Rainforest Art Center. It's the Forever Twilight and Forks collection.
Yes, the Forever Twilight and Forks collection. And it consists of costumes and props and so many like actual things they used in the film. And so how did they get their hands on it? I kind of remember this, but I kind of don't. I know that there was a big auction.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first trip we were up there in 2016, they were actually previewing items for the auction. Mm-hmm. So you remember they had that display of different things that were going to be up for sale. So the company prop store had actually ended up having 2 Twilight auctions. One was an in-person one in LA, but you could also bid online, and you could call in. And they did one a year later that was an online one. And so a lot of things came out of the auction. Jack Morrissey, who is Bill Condon, the director Bill Condon, who directed Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. He's been kind of I would say, a godfather to the Forever Twilight and Forks collection. He's helped them obtain some stuff as well, either through the auction or having connections there. And then the other things they have too are like they have collections of the books, like different copies of them from around the globe, which is really cool. Some different artwork that they've gotten from different artists. I think they have some stuff in there possibly from Catherine Hardwicke. So yeah, they've gotten a lot of different things over the years, and it's very cool. They've had, during when they've had different actors out there, sometimes if they don't have something in the collection from that character, they'll borrow something from somebody, from a fan that's like, hey, I have a costume. So for example, when Peter Facinelli was there, I loaned some of my Carlisle costumes. So yeah, it's really amazing, and they seem to keep acquiring things.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better. But I think that's especially if you're just going out there for Twilight stuff, like check out the Forever Twilight and Forks collection. It is so cool. They even have like the little cardboard werewolves or wolves too.
Yeah, they have like Jacob there.
And I think they have his motorcycle as well.
Yeah.
They've got so many costumes. And it's just so cool to see it in person. So highly recommend. So cool. And I love it.
I love the quilt.
The quilt.
The t-shirt
yeah.
quilt is in there.
I remember also seeing like Alice's drawing of the ballet studio and thinking how cool that was just as like a prop in and of itself. But yeah, there's not a lot of places. I mean, I think aside from like Hobbiton, obviously, that have that type of situation for the films that were filmed in those places. So it's cool.
I already mentioned like the Carver Cafe, but I would highly recommend going to the Carver Cafe and getting like breakfast, brunch on your Twilight journey. And then Port Angeles, we already kind of talked about that, but it was just, we went for the first time like to walk around Port Angeles this last time when Natasha and I stayed there, then like halfway through our trip. And it was just so nice to walk along the water and know that like this is what Port Angeles is. Like I just felt like again that we were like in the book and learning about like this is where they go and they're like going to the city. Like, they go to this like little beach city. And of course we talked about the waterfall, the rocks. I really loved when we drove over the Bridge of the Gods. That's the bridge you see at the beginning of Twilight. Yeah. So that song is playing in the movie when they drive over it, and we had it on in the car, and it was just like this weird, surreal moment where it's like, oh my God, we're in Twilight. And I would recommend any like huge Twilight fan does that, because I just was like, it was this moment of like bliss where we were like going over the bridge. And yeah, and then like the last thing on my list we also kind of talked about, so I'm just going through all of them, but like the fork sign, man. The fork sign is where it all feels real.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mentioned, the Lion and the Lamb rocks too. That's on Christine's list, but there's also the tree, the drug tree.
The drug tree?
You're like a drug to me. You're like my own kind of heroin. The heroin tree.
The heroin country.
That's their.
Oh, you know what we didn't mention? Okay, in Port Angeles is Bella Italia.
Yep.
Right? And that's where you could get the mushroom ravioli. Caitlin just mentioned this in the chat.
So good.
It's so good. And they have it at the Twilight Forks Festival. Like one of the days is like the Bella Italia dinner and it's delicious. But if you're just going not for the Forks Festival, you should make a reservation.
Make a reservation.
At Bella Italia.
It's always booked.
Yeah. It was booked when we were in Port Angeles. So we had to go to a random place for burgers.
Amy, your turn to go again.
Okay, so you mentioned the Swan House, which is in St. Helens, but there's other things in St. Helens. So St. Helens is the stand-in for Port Angeles in Twilight. It on sort of the main area there is also if when you're watching Bella sitting in the dress shop and you see that building out behind her, that is also the building from Halloween Town. So the Disney movie Halloween Town was also filmed in in St. Helens. So there's a couple things that were filmed there. There's a building that was the Bloated Toad restaurant in the movie. It's painted completely different now. So if you don't know where it is, you might be like, where is it? But the good thing is that the wooden toad is back in front of it. So there's a wooden toad you can see in the movie that it got in really bad shape for a while and disappeared, but it's back and it looks like it got restored. So that's there. Kind of behind the main shopping area is there's an alleyway you can go down, which is the alleyway Bella goes down in the movie. And sort of up the hill is where the house is that was the Thunderbird and Whale bookshop. And then also right there is the parking lot where the guys come after Bella and Edward comes in whipping around. So it's like all right in this
Get
one
in the
section.
car.
Yeah.
Get in the car.
But what's really cool, one of the little movie fact things is that you can see them in the movie. They're still there. There's like these old looking ads painted on the building. They were actually put there for the films and they've just left them there. So they were actually like Twilight props up on the buildings.
Nice.
But yeah, it kind of, you can kind of recreate Edward's drive, kind of come around.
That was cool doing that. We did that.
You can see like the neon from the movie theater there. The Columbia Theater is right there. So it's really a really cool experience to go there. And then of course the Swan House is there, which I have stayed at. So Amber and Dean, who are the owners there, they have been really great about recreating the experience. Like when you are in Bella's room, you are in the room Kristen Stewart was in, and they've done such an incredible job bringing it to life. They actually have acquired some costumes and stuff some of them are like screen accurate ones, but they have like plexiglass covering in Bella's closet, like all the different different outfits.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's really an incredible experience. And when you walk in the door, there's a lamp right there that looks just like the lamp from the movie, which I donated to the house. So I actually have my own version of it right here, but they were sold as a pair. So I kept one and I gave one for the house. So it's just like waking up going to bed and waking up in Bella's room is just like the ultimate Twilight fangirl experience.
Oh my god!
I'm already planning our like random Twilight trip now. We're gonna stay there. We're gonna go to the HOA. I mean HOA.
But yeah, really like spend some time in St. Helens. There's a really great shop there if they're open. That's actually where I got this shirt, which is the Thunderbird and Whale bookshop.
Oh,
and it has on it St. Helens and Port Angeles, which is really cute. So
oh my god.
Yeah, I think
don't they also do a festival?
Yes, they do a Halloween Town festival. There's been some changes there, so I'm not sure kind of what's going on for it this year, but I'm sure it's happening in some way, shape, or form. But they've had some Twilight people there in the past, and actually last summer did a Twilight event, which I got to be like MC for some of it. So and run Twilight trivia. It was really fun. So they're definitely embracing a bit of the Twilight there, but Halloween Town is a big thing for them because they bring the actors in from that usually every year. It's like they just put some stuff out and like here it is. It's Halloween Town from the Disney Channel movie. So
also just seeing Mount St. Helen is gorgeous from that area.
Yeah, it is. That's so
blown
cool.
away.
Don't want to get blown away.
I was like,
there's a volcano right there.
Well, Mount Rainier. There's a lot of volcanoes up here.
Yeah, but like it's just that's the one they always talk about, like destroying the earth if it.
It will erupt again, but so will Mount Rainier at some point. But the other thing I was going to say is the dress shop is actually a beauty salon. So, and they a lot of times the area where they filmed, which is right inside there. Sometimes they have, especially during Halloween Town, they'll have like stuff for sale, like merchandise, different things for Halloween Town, right there in the front entrance, so you can go in and take a picture, just like Bella.
Yep. I've got 2 other locations that I really liked. So this is so random. The hospital that they used in the filming that we went, because like we kind of asked to go in there and we could, and we used that like corner to film. I know, Amy, you've been in like the actual room where Carlisle makes his big entrance. And I really, that was really fun just to go there. And then, sorry, were you going to say, Amy?
No, I was going to say, yes, it's very cool to get there. There's a story behind me getting into that room, but...
So we did a little reenactment there. It's a really quick like stop if you just want to see a filming location. But in Forks, and this isn't a place that you can typically get to unless it's on the schedule for the festival or you are going to a wedding there, but it's the wedding venue. Amy, remind me of the name.
Fern Acres.
Fern Acres.
It's so gorgeous.
It's so pretty. And they have all these wooden stools. Not they're called stools.
Benches.
Yeah. Pews. Like in the forest where you can basically have Bella and Edward's wedding. And it's just stunning. And the landscaping is stunning. Every time there's an event there at the festival, I'm like, we have to go. I just want to go back to that place. But yeah, it's kind of like it's off to the side of Forks, and it's so cool. Also, the Forks High School is so fun too. It's obviously not movie accurate, but it is the actual Forks High School.
It's nice.
It's so nice. They redid it. And it's a beautiful school. That's where we had our
live podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they did all the meet and greet pictures.
The Q&A.
Yeah.
All right, Amy, what are the last couple things on your list?
Last couple things on my list. We were talking about beaches in La Push. The other one is Rialto Beach, which is north of La Push. So it's like it gets to the point where you kind of either have to go toward La Push or you go the other way out to Rialto. And even though it's like technically kind of the same area, the beach itself is different. Like the driftwood that's on it, the rocks are on it, it has different feel, and I absolutely love it. And if you have time and you can get there at low tide, if you hike down the beach, there's what's called the hole in the wall, which is like a big opening in the rocks.
Is that tree thing?
No, but we'll talk about the tree.
Okay.
No, this is like a big opening like in the rocks, and when the tide is out, you can actually go through it. And there's like tide pools in there and stuff. It's so cool.
That's so cool.
You're talking about the Tree of Life, which is down in Kaylock Beach. I think it's on Kaylock, which I saw Nicole put about wanting to see it. You better get there soon, because the last time I was there was in June, and it just keeps sinking. It only has so much time left. It's eventually going to fall. It's going to take like one big storm, and that thing's going to, collapse. It's interesting, like looking at pictures from like the first time I went there to now, and how much it has come down. So, so yeah, it's only got so much time left. But I would say like any of those beaches, even the ones like south of Forks, Ruby Beach, Beach 1, 2, 3, 4, they are called that, which are different than third person, second beach. They're just all like have interesting things to see, whether it's rock formations or tide pools or just different, like some are these big wide beaches and some have like said formations on and things that you have to climb over to get to them. So it's really interesting to check out all the different ones. Couple other quick things, because there's so many things we could talk about. If you get a chance, usually on Wednesdays throughout the year, not just the festival, is Drum Circle, which they have down in La Push at their cultural center. I think it's the cultural center, which it goes on for a long time. So some people don't, a lot of people don't stay for the whole time, but it's really just interesting to see, to be there with the Quillia tribe, experiencing drum circle, and they like talk about what they're doing, so you can understand why the certain like the ceremony behind it. It's just really a interesting experience and a way to learn more about the Quillia culture. A lot of times they'll do a potluck as part of that, so make sure you bring something for the potluck. Sometimes they are selling stuff there. I got like a really beautiful like hand knit hat there the last time, so I highly recommend that. And then I would say if you're there for the festival, don't miss the Q&A discussions. They usually with whoever the talent is that year, that's whether it's actors or like last year they had the costume designer from Twilight. It's very like, it's interesting to kind of hear them talk about, you know, their experiences, and not just, you know, Twilight, but what their actors have done in other things as well. It's really just, that's something that they didn't always have at the festival. They only added that
2018, I think.
Yeah, it's been yeah. I mean, the first couple, yes, because when you were there in 2016, they didn't have Q&A.
The first one.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that first one because it was so fascinating hearing about like the marketing campaign for Twilight and Hot Topic and Comic-Con.
Oh, was that when Nancy and Eric were there?
Yep.
So Nancy Kirkpatrick and Eric Copes. So Nancy was the head of marketing at Summit Entertainment, and then Eric was PR and publicity. So I guess the first one he did, was it 2018? Was that when Catherine Hardwicke was there too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Time is
I know.
too many events.
We didn't realize like they were going to let us interview Catherine, and then we both got some time on camera, and I was just like, oh my God, I am not prepared.
Oh. Thanks, Nicole. And Chris.
Anyway, yeah, it's really like the Twilight adventure of a lifetime. If you love Twilight, like write down all this stuff so you don't forget, because there's so much that you will forget some of them. And so when you plan your trip, you can like schedule accordingly so you get to see all the good stuff.
Yeah. I think real quickly we can go through what you can skip. So let's do that.
For me, I feel like we could skip the ballet studio because we couldn't really see it. It's like a laundromat or something. What was it?
It's actually I think it was given to or bought by like one of the tribes. So it's actually, I think, a tribal center.
Oh, wow.
Now, but yeah, it was. Well, they didn't film inside there. They filmed on
the outside.
Yeah. So I mean,
stage.
it's cool because it's like, okay, it does look exactly the same outside as when Bella shows up there.
Yeah, go at night though, so you get the full effect. I would say the police station that they used is kind of far away and like not. Is it on the way to St. Helens?
Not really. It's kind of off the path. So that's in Veronia, Oregon, and it's also the police station's there, but that's also where they filmed like Charlie and Bella like driving into town. There's sort of that stone bridge that they go over. The logging truck that everybody's like, nobody's driving in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, if you get like a logging truck to go over, that's like a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
But it is far away. Oh my God, we forgot to talk about one of my favorite places that we went to was that college where they had
the greenhouse.
Yeah. The greenhouse.
Yeah.
Because you could actually get in there.
Well, ask
maybe
before you.
Well, ask.
Yeah, Clackamas County or Community College, which you kind of like. It's way in the back. You kind of have to drive around to figure out where it is, but yeah, it is pretty cool. You're like on the Bella's field trip.
Amy, what would you say to skip?
I mean, I wouldn't skip anything. It's more like things that you can't go to. So, unfortunately, said Madison High School is gone. The Cullen House you can't get to.
Yeah.
The baseball field, which is it's private property. So, unless you have permission, and sometimes there are ways they do tours out there. It's actually owned by a college or university at this point, and they sometimes do like events that include a tour out there. But I would skip it because if you try to go there on your own without permission, you are trespassing. And they do have apparently wildlife cameras out there. So you also need to be, aware of wildlife that's out there. So I don't recommend that. And then I know we talked about Cannon Beach. it is incredible to go and see Cannon Beach, but like if you're short on time, it is a heck of a drive to get out there. So you might want to take a separate trip for that and just spend time in the town of Cannon Beach too. It's a little, beach town. Stay there for a couple days. Just relax.
All right. Everyone in the chat's like, Amy, I feel like Amy is the ultimate guide to a Twilight trip. Amy is a pro. We salute her. Yes. Amy can publish her own travel guide to Forks for the ultimate Twilight. She is, guys.
She is.
You go follow her at Oh My Carlisle. No, she's the ultimate Twilight girly.
We're gonna roll on into Mary Kiss Cliff. All right, Amy, what have you got for us in Mary Kiss Cliff today?
Okay, so it's not Twilight. I was like a mix between some Taylor Swift stuff and then also football season starts the end of this week. So we're going with the Kelseys. We're going with Jason, Travis, and Kylie.
Oh, shit. Interesting selection here. I probably... I feel like Mary Kelsey and
they're all Kelsey. They're all Kelsey.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Travis, Kylie, Jason.
Kylie. Mary Kelsey. Mary Kylie. And Kiss Travis and Cliff Jason.
Oh.
Sorry, Jason.
Oh, I don't know. Gosh, I feel like I would probably just always be mad at Jason.
I know, that's how Cliff do.
Okay, I'm gonna marry Travis. I'm gonna kiss Kylie and Cliff Jason.
I would do the opposite of that because I'm an Eagles girly. So, and I mean, I have a Kelsey jersey. I knew who Jason Kelsey was long before Taylor was dating Travis. So I'm marrying Jason because he's an awesome guy. I'm going to kiss Kylie. And sorry, Cliff and Travis.
Aw. Nice.
Bye, Trav.
Bye. That was a fun one. But yeah, Chris says Jason seems like such a good guy. He does.
He really
does.
is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He has done so much for the community in Philadelphia too, and yeah, he's awesome. We miss him.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss him on the team this year.
Oh. Well, folks, that is our show today. Thank you so much for coming and joining us, Amy. Like, you provided so much vital information for this discussion.
Oh yeah.
And like Natasha just said, where can we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Oh My Carlisle, of course, mostly on Instagram, a little bit on TikTok, not so much on X anymore. I used to be very lively on there, but yeah, probably mostly on Instagram.
Nice. So go follow Amy on Instagram. We will link her in the show notes as well. Thank you all for joining us today. If you don't already, like we said, please make sure you're following the show in your favorite podcast app. Our podcast is edited by Alex Polis, Ricky McBrayer, Christine Riccio, and Natasha Polis. Our music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska. Our socials are run by Chloe Laverson. All our links are in the show notes. My name's Christine.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Amy.
We release new episodes every Friday. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. We're off to go record Fangirl Tea Time. Bye.
Bye.